ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Namaste, my dear friends. This is video number 13 on Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna Parmahamsa. This video starts with various classes of devotees. Master. The inferior devotee says, God exists, but he is very far off, up there in heaven. The mediocre devotee says, God exists in all beings as life and consciousness. The superior devotee says, it is God Himself who has become everything. Whatever I see is only a form of God. It is He alone who has become Maya, the universe and all living beings. Nothing exists but God. Vaishnava. Does anyone ever attain that state of mind? Signs of God vision. Master. One cannot attain it unless one has seen God. But there are signs that a man has had the vision of God. A man who has seen God sometimes behaves like a madman. He laughs, weeps, dances, and sings. Sometimes he behaves like a child 5 years old, guileless, generous, without vanity, unattached to anything, nor under the control of any of the gunas, always blissful. Sometimes he behaves like a ghoul. He doesn't differentiate between things pure and things impure. He sees no difference between things clean and things unclean. And sometimes he is like an inert thing, staring vacantly. He cannot do any work. He cannot strive for anything. Was the master making a veiled reference to his own states of mind? Knowledge and ignorance. Master, to the Vaishnava devotees, the feeling of thee and thine is the outcome of knowledge. I and mine comes from ignorance. Knowledge makes one feel, O God, thou art the doer and I am thy instrument. O God, to thee belongs all body, mind, house, family, living beings, and the universe. All these are thine, nothing belongs to me. An ignorant person says, Oh God is there very far off. The man of knowledge knows that God is right here, very near in the heart, that he has assumed all forms and dwells in all hearts as their inner controller. Sunday, July 22, 1883. Taking advantage of the holiday, many household devotees visited Sri Ramakrishna in his room at the Dakshineswar temple garden. The young devotees, mostly students, generally came on weekdays. Sometimes the master asked his intimate disciples to come on a Tuesday or a Saturday, days that he considered very auspicious for special religious instruction. Adhar, Rakhal, and M had come from Calcutta in a hired carriage. Sri Ramakrishna had enjoyed a little rest after his midday meal. The room had an atmosphere of purity and holiness. On the walls hung pictures of gods and goddesses. Among them one of Christ rescuing the drowning Peter. Outside the room were plants laden with fragrant flowers, and the Ganges could be seen flowing towards the south. The master was seated on the small couch facing the north, and the devotees sat on mats and carpets spread on the floor. All eyes were directed towards him. Mani Malik, an old Brahmo devotee about 65 years of age, came to pay his respects to the master. He had returned a few months earlier from a pilgrimage to Benares and was recounting his experiences to Sri Ramakrishna. Difficulty of the Vedantic method. Mani Malik, a monk whom I met in Benares, said that no religious experience is possible without the control of the sense organs. Nothing could be achieved by merely crying, God, God. Master, do you understand the views of teachers like him? According to them, one must first practice spiritual discipline, self restraint, self control, forbearance, and the like. Their aim is to attain nirvana. They are followers of Vedanta. They constantly discriminate, saying Brahma alone is real and the world illusory. But this is an extremely difficult path. If the world is illusory, then you too are illusory. The teacher who gives the instruction is equally illusory. His words too are as illusory as a dream. But this experience is beyond the reach of the ordinary man. Do you know what it is like? If you burn camphor, nothing remains. When wood is burnt, at least a little ash is left. Finally, after the last analysis, the devotee goes into samadhi. Then he knows nothing whatsoever of I, you, or the universe. Padam Lochan was a man of deep wisdom. He had great respect for me, though at that time I constantly repeated the name of the Divine Mother. He was the court Pandit of the Maharaja of Bardhaman. Once he came to Calcutta and went to live in a garden house near Kamarhati. I felt a desire to see him and sent her there to learn if the Pandit had any vanity. I was told that he had none. Then I met him. Though a man of great knowledge and scholarship, he began to weep on hearing me sing Ram Prasad's devotional songs. We talked together a long while. Conversation with nobody else gave me such satisfaction. He said to me, give up the desire for the company of devotees. Otherwise, people of all sorts will come to you and make you deviate from your spiritual ideal. Once he entered into a controversy by correspondence with Utsavananda, Vaishnavacharan's guru. He told me an interesting incident. Once a meeting was called to decide which of the two deities, Shiva or Brahma, was the greater. Unable to come to any decision, the Pandits at last referred the matter to Padamlochan. With characteristic zealousness, he said, how do I know? Neither I nor any of my ancestors back to the 14th generation have seen Shiva or Brahma. About the renunciation of woman and gold, he said to me one day, why have you given up those things? Such distinctions as this is money and that is clay are the outcome of ignorance. What could I say to that? I replied, I don't know all these things, my dear sir, but for my part, I cannot resist such things as money and the like. There was a Pandit who was tremendously vain. He did not believe in the forms of God, but who can understand the inscrutable ways of the divine? God revealed himself to him as the primal power. This vision made the Pandit unconscious for a long time. After regaining partial consciousness, he uttered only the sound ka, ka, ka. He could not fully pronounce Kali. A devotee, sir, you met Pandit Vidyasagar. What did you think of him? Master, Vidyasagar has both scholarship and charity, but he lacks inner vision. Gold lies hidden within him. Had he but found it out, his activities would have been reduced. Finally, they would have stopped altogether. Had he but known that God resides in his heart, his mind would have been directed to God in thought and meditation. Some persons must perform selfless work a long time before they can practice dispassion and direct their minds to the spiritual ideal and at last be absorbed in God. Charity and attachment. The activities that Vidyasagar is engaged in are good. Charity is very noble. There is a great deal of difference between Daya, compassion, and Maya, attachment. Daya is good, but not Maya. Maya is love for one's relatives, one's wife, children, brother, sister, nephew, father, and mother. But Daya is the same love for all created beings without any distinction. And is Daya also a bondage? The three gunas, master. Master, yes, it is. But that concept is something far beyond the ordinary man. Daya springs from Sattva. Sattva preserves, Rajas creates, and Tamas destroys. But Brahma is beyond the three gunas. It is beyond Prakriti. None of the three gunas can reach truth. They are like robbers who cannot come to a public place for fear of being arrested. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas are like so many robbers. Listen to a story. Once a man was going through a forest when three robbers fell upon him and robbed him of all his possessions. One of the robbers said, "What is the use of keeping this man alive?" So saying, he was about to kill him with his sword, when the second robber interrupted him, saying, "Oh no, what is the use of killing him? Tie him hand and foot and leave him here." The robbers bound his hands and feet and went away. After a while, the third robber returned and said to the man, "Ah, I am sorry. Are you hurt? I will release you from your bonds." After setting the man free, the thief said, "Come with me. I will take you to the public highway." After a long time, they reached the road. Then the robber said, "Follow this road. Over there is your house." At this the man said, "Sir, you have been very good to me. Come with me to my house." "Oh no," the robber replied. "I can't go there. The police will know it." This world itself is the forest. The three robbers prowling here are Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. It is they that rob a man of the knowledge of truth. Tamas wants to destroy him. Rajas binds him to the world, but Sattva rescues him from the clutches of Rajas and Tamas. Under the protection of Sattva, man is rescued from anger, passion, and other evil effects of Tamas. Further, Sattva loosens the bonds of the world, but Sattva also is a robber. It cannot give him the it cannot give him the ultimate knowledge of truth, though it shows him the road leading to the supreme abode of God. Setting him on the path, Sattva tells him, "Look yonder, there is your home." Even Sattva is far away from the knowledge of Brahma. Nature of Brahma cannot be described. What Brahma is cannot be described. Even he who knows it cannot talk about it. There is a saying that a boat, once reaching the black waters of the ocean, cannot come back. Parable of the four friends. Once four friends in the course of a walk saw a place enclosed by a wall. The wall was very high. They all became eager to know what was inside. One of them climbed to the top of the wall. What he saw on looking inside made him speechless with wonder. He only cried, "Ah, ah," and dropped in. He could not give any information about what he saw. The others too climbed the wall, uttered the same cry, "Ah, ah," and jumped in. Now who could tell what was inside? Sages like Jadabharta and Dattatreya, after realizing Brahma, could not describe it. A man's eye completely disappears when he goes into samadhi after attaining the knowledge of Brahma. That's why Ram Prasad sang, addressing his mind, "If you should find the task too hard, call upon Ram Prasad for help." The mind must completely merge itself in knowledge, but that is not enough. Ram Prasad, that is the principle of I, must vanish too. Then alone does one get the knowledge of Brahma. A devotee. Sir, is it possible then that Sukadeva did not have the ultimate knowledge? Master, according to some people, Sukadeva only saw and touched the ocean of Brahma. He did not dive into it. That's why he could return to the world and impart religious instruction. According to others, he returned to the world of name and form after attaining the knowledge of Brahma for the purpose of teaching others. He had to recite the Bhagavata to King Parikshit and had to teach people in various ways. Therefore, God did not destroy his eye altogether. God kept him God kept in him the ego of knowledge. God and religious organization, devotee. Can one keep up an organization after attaining the knowledge of Brahma? Master, once I talked to Keshav Sen about the knowledge of Brahma. He asked me to explain it further. I said, if I proceed further, then you won't be able to preserve your organization and following. Then please stop here, replied Keshav. All laughed. But still I said to Keshav, I and mine indicate ignorance. Without ignorance, one cannot have such a feeling as I am the doer. These are my wife, children, possessions, name and fame. Thereupon Keshav said, Sir, if one give, gives up the give up the I, nothing whatsoever would remain. I reassured him and said, I am not asking you to give up all of the I. You should give up only the unripe I. The unripe I makes one feel I am the doer. These are my wife and children. I am a teacher. Renounce this unripe I and keep the ripe I, which will make you feel that you are the servant of God, His devotee, and that God is the doer and you are His instrument. Devotee. Can the ripe I form an organization? Two kinds of ego. Master, I said to Keshav Sen that the I that says I am a leader, I have formed this party, I am teaching people, is the unripe I. It is very difficult to preach religion. It is not possible to do so without receiving the commandment of God. The permission of God is necessary. Sukadeva had a command from God to recite the Bhagavata. If, after realizing God, a man gets his command and becomes a preacher or teacher, then that preaching or teaching does no harm. His eye is not unripe, it is ripe. I asked Kesab to give up this unripe eye. The ego that feels I am the servant of God and lover of God does not injure one. I said to him, you have been constantly talking of your organization and your followers, but people also go away from your organization. Kesab answered, it is true, sir. After staying in it several years, people go to another organization. What is worse, on deserting me, they abuse me right and left. Why don't you study their nature? I said. Is there any good in making anybody and everybody a disciple? I said to Keshav further. You should accept the Divine Mother, the primal energy. Brahma is not different from its Shakti. What is Brahma is also Shakti. As long as a man remains conscious of the body, he is conscious of duality. It is only when a man tries to describe what he sees that he finds duality. Kesab later on recognized Kali. One day, when Keshav was here with his disciples, I said to him that I would like to hear him preach. He delivered a lecture in the Chandani. Then we all sat by the bathing ghat and had a long conversation. I said to him, it is Bhagwan alone who in one form appears as Bhagata and in another as the Bhagavata. Please repeat Bhagavata, Bhagata, Bhagwan. Kesab and his disciples repeated the words. Then I asked him to repeat Guru, Krishna, Vaishnava. Thereupon Kesab said, Sir, I should not go so far now. People will say that I have become an orthodox Hindu. It is extremely difficult to go beyond the three gunas. One cannot reach that state without having realized God. Man dwells in the realm of Maya. Maya does not permit him to see God. It has made him a victim of ignorance. Man's inordinate attachment. Once Herde brought a bull calf here. I saw one day that he had tied it with a rope in the garden so that it might graze there. I asked him, Herde, why do you tie the calf there every day? Uncle, he said, I am going to send this calf to our village. When it grows strong, I shall yoke it to the plough. As soon as I heard these words, I was stunned to think how inscrutable is the play of the divine Mala. Kamarpukur and Sihor are so far away from Calcutta. This poor calf must go all that way. Then it will grow, and at length it will be yoked to the plough. This is indeed the world. This is indeed Maya. I fell down unconscious. Only after a long time did I regain consciousness. It was 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and found Sri Ramakrishna seated on the couch in an abstracted mood. After some time he heard him talking to the Divine Mother. The Master said, O Mother, why hast thou given him only a particle? Remaining silent a few moments, he added, I understand it, Mother. That little bit will be enough for him and will serve this thy purpose. That little bit will enable him to teach people. Did the Master thus transmit spiritual powers to his disciples? Did he thus come to know that his disciples after him would go out into the world as teachers of men? Rakhal was in the room. Sri Ramakrishna was still in a state of partial consciousness when he said to Rakhal, You were angry with me, were not you? Do you know why I made you angry? There was a reason. Only then would the medicine work. The surgeon first brings an abscess to a head. Only then does he apply a herb so that it may burst and dry up. After a pause he went on, Yes, I have found Hajra to be like a piece of dry wood. Then why does he live here? This has a meaning too. The play is enlivened by the presence of troublemakers like Jatila and Kutila. To M. One must accept the forms of God. Do you know the meaning of the image of Jagadharti? Jagadharti, Jagadhatri. She is the bearer of the universe. Without her support and protection, the universe would fall from its place and be destroyed. The Divine Mother Jagadhatri reveals herself in the heart of one who can control the mind, which may be compared to an elephant. Rakhal. The mind is a mad elephant, Master. Therefore, the lion, the carrier of the Divine Mother, keeps it under control. It was dusk. The evening service began in the temple. Sri Ramakrishna was chanting the names of the gods and goddesses. He was seated on the small couch with folded hands and became absorbed in contemplation of the Divine Mother. The world outside was flooded with moonlight, and the devotees inside the master's room sat in silence and looked at his serene face. In the meantime, Govinda of Belgharia and some of his friends had entered the room. Sri Ramakrishna was still in a semi-conscious state. After a few minutes he said to the devotees, Tell me your doubts. I shall explain everything. Govinda and the other devotees looked thoughtful. Black complexion of the Divine Mother, Govinda. Revered sir, why does the Divine Mother have a black complexion? Master. You see her as black because you are far away from her. Go near and you will find her devoid of all color. The water of a lake appears black from a distance. Go near and take the water in your hand, and you will see that it has no color at all. Similarly, the sky looks blue from a distance, but look at the atmosphere near you. It has no color. The nearer you come to God, the more you will realize that He has neither name nor form. If you move away from the Divine Mother, you will find her blue like the grass flower. Is Shama male or female? A man once saw the image of the Divine Mother wearing a sacred thread. He said to the worshipper, "What? You have put the sacred thread on the mother's neck?" The worshipper said, "Brother, I see that you have truly known the mother, but I have not yet been able to find out whether she is male or female. That's why I have put the sacred thread on her image. That which is Shama is also Brahma. That which has form again is without form. That which has attributes again has no attributes. Brahma is Shakti. Shakti is Brahma. They are not two. These are only two aspects, male and female, of the same reality. Existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. Govinda. What is the meaning of Yoga Maya, Master? It signifies the yoga or union of Purusha and Prakriti. Whatever you perceive in the universe is the outcome of this union. Take the image of Shiva and Kali. Kali stands on the bosom of Shiva. Shiva lies under her feet like a corpse. Kali looks at Shiva. All this denotes the union of Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is inactive, therefore Shiva lies on the ground like a corpse. Prakriti performs all her activities in conjunction with Purusha. Thus she creates, preserves and destroys. That's also the meaning of the conjoined images of Radha and Krishna. On account of that union again, the images are slightly inclined towards each other. To denote this union, Sri Krishna wears a pearl in his nose, Radha a blue stone in hers. Radha has a fair complexion, bright as the pearl. Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna's is blue. For this reason, Radha wears the blue stone. Further, Krishna's apparel is yellow and Radha's blue. Who is the best devotee of God? It is he who sees after the realization of Brahma that God alone has become all living beings, the universe, and the 24 cosmic principles. One must discriminate at first, saying not this, and reach the roof. After that, one realizes that the steps are made of the same materials as the roof, namely brick, lime, and brick dust. The devotees realize that it is Brahma alone that has become all these, the living beings, the universe, and so on. Mere dry reasoning, I spit on it. I have no use for it. The master spits on the ground. Why should I make myself dry through mere reasoning? May I have unalloyed love for the lotus feet of God as long as the consciousness of I and you remains with me. To Govinda, sometimes I say, Thou art verily I, and I am verily Thou. Again I feel, Thou art Thou. Then I do not find any trace of I. It is Shakti alone that becomes flesh as God incarnate. According to one school of thought, Rama and Krishna are but two waves in the ocean of absolute bliss and consciousness, seeing God in everything. Chaitanya, consciousness is awakened after Advaita Jnana, the knowledge of the non-dual Brahma. Then one perceives that God alone exists in all beings as consciousness. After this realization comes Ananda, bliss, Advaita, Chaitanya and Nityananda. To N. Let me ask you not to disbelieve in the forms of God. Have faith in God's forms. Meditate on that form of God which appeals to your mind. To Govinda. The fact is that one does not feel the longing to know or see God as long as one wants to enjoy worldly objects. The child forgets everything when he plays with his toys. Try to cajole him away from play with a sweetmeat. You will not succeed. He will eat only a bit of it. When he relishes neither the sweetmeat nor his play, then he says, I want to go to my mother. He doesn't care for the sweetmeat any more. If a man whom he does not know and has never seen says to the child, Come along, I shall take you to your mother, the child follows him. The child will go with anyone who will carry him to his mother. The soul becomes restless for God. When one is through with the enjoyment of worldly things, then a person has only one thought, how to realize God. He listens to whatever anyone says to him about God, and to himself. Alas, the soul becomes restless for God only when one is through with the enjoyment of worldly things. August 18, 1883. Mystery of Divine Incarnation. Sri Ramakrishna was at Balram Bose's house in Calcutta. He was explaining the mystery of divine incarnation to the devotees. Master, in order to bring people spiritual knowledge, an incarnation of God lives in the world in the company of devotees, cherishing an attitude of love for God. It is like going up and coming down the stairs after having once reached the roof. In order to reach the roof, other people should follow the path of devotion as long as they have not attained knowledge and become free of desire. The roof can be reached only when all desires are done away with. The shopkeeper does not go to bed before finishing his accounts. He goes to sleep only when his accounts are finished. To N. A man will certainly succeed if he will take the plunge. Success is sure for such a man. Well, what do you think of the worship conducted by Keshav, Shivnath and the other Brahmo leaders? And they are satisfied, as you say, with describing the garden, but they seldom speak of seeing the master of the garden. Describing the garden is the beginning and end of their worship. Master, you are right. Our only duty is to seek the master of the garden, and speak to him. The only purpose of life is to realize God. Sri Ramakrishna then went to Adhar's house. After dusk he sang and danced in Adhar's drawing room. M. Rakhal and other devotees were present. After the music he sat down, which comes in torrents and goes in torrents. It is after the music he sat down still in an ecstatic mood. He said to Rakhal, "This religious fervor is not like rain in the rainy season, which comes in torrents and goes in, sprung up, as it were, from the bowels of the earth. The other day you left Dakshineshwar in a temper. I prayed to the Divine Mother to forgive you." The master was still in an abstracted mood and said to Adhar, "My son, meditate on the deity whose name you chanted." With these words he touched Adhar's tongue with his finger and wrote something on it. Did the master thereby impart spirituality to Adhar? Chapter 13. The Master and N. August 19, 1883. It was study the first day after the full moon. It was Sunday, the first day after the full moon. Sri Ramakrishna was resting after his noon meal. The midday offering had been made in the temples and the temple doors were closed. In the early afternoon, the master sat up on the small couch in his room and prostrated himself before him and sat on the floor. The master was talking to him on the philosophy of Vedanta, householders and non-dualism. Master 2N. Self-knowledge is discussed in the Ashtavakra Samhita. The non-dualistics say Soham, that is, I am the Supreme Self. This is the view of the sannyasis of the Vedantic school, but this is not the right attitude for householders who are conscious of doing everything themselves. That being so, how can they declare I am that, the actionless Supreme Self? According to the non-dualists, the self is unattached. Good and bad, virtue and vice, and the other pairs of opposites cannot in any way injure the self, though they undoubtedly afflicted those who have identified themselves with their bodies. Smoke swells the wall subtly, but it cannot in any way attack Akasha, space. Following the Vedantists of this class, Krishna Kishore used to say, I am Kaha, I am Kha, meaning Akasha. Being a great devotee, he could say that with some justification, but it is not becoming for others to do so. But to feel that one is a free soul is very good. By constantly repeating I am free, a man verily becomes free. On the other hand, by constantly repeating I am bound, he certainly becomes bound to worldliness. The fool who says only I am a sinner, verily drowns himself in worldliness. One should rather say, I have chanted the name of God. How can I be a sinner? How can be bound to am? You see, I am very much depressed today. Herda has written me that he is very ill. Why should I feel dejected about it? Is it because Maya or Daya? And could not find suitable words for a reply and remained silent. Maya and compassion. Master, do you know what Maya is? It is attachment to relatives, parents, brothers and sister, wife and children, nephew and niece. Daya means love for all created beings. Now, what is this by feeling about Herda? Is it Maya or Daya? But Herda did so much for me. He served me wholeheartedly and nursed me when I was ill. But later he tormented me also. The torment became so unbearable that once I was about to commit suicide by jumping into the Ganges from the top of the embankment. But he did so much to serve me. Now my mind will be at rest if he gets some money. But whom shall I ask for it? Who likes to speak about such things to our rich visitors? At 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Adhar Sen and Balram arrived. After saluting Sri Ramakrishna, they sat on the floor and asked him if he was well. The master said, "Yes, I am well physically, but a little troubled in mind." He did not refer to Herda and his troubles. The conversation turned to the goddess Singavahini. Master, yes, I visited the goddess. She is worshipped by one of the branches of the Malik family of Calcutta. This branch of the family is now in straitened circumstances, and the house they live in it is dilapidated. The walls and floor are spotted with moss and pigeon droppings, and the cement and plaster are crumbling. But other branches of the Malik family are well off. This branch has no signs of prosperity. To M, well, what does that signify? M remained silent. Master, the thing is that everyone must reap the result of past karma. One must admit the influence of tendencies inherited from past births and the result of the prarabdha karma. Nevertheless, in that dilapidated house I saw the face of the goddess radiating a divine light. One must believe in the divine presence in the image. Once I went to Vishnupur. The Raja of that place has several fine temples. In one of them there is an image of the Divine Mother called Nirnamai. There are several lakes near the temple, known as the Lal Band, Krishna Band, and so on. In the water of one of the lakes, I could smell the ointments that women use for their hair. How do you explain that? I did not know at the time that the women devotees offer ointments to the goddess Nirnamai while visiting her temple. Near the lake, I went into Samadhi, though I had not yet seen the image of the temple. In that state, I saw the divine form from the waist up, rising from the water. In the meantime, other devotees had arrived. Someone referred to the political revolution and civil war in Kabul. A devotee said that Yaqub Khan, the Amir of Afghanistan, had been deposed. He told the master that The Amir was a great devotee of God. Pleasure and pain are characteristics of physical life, Master. But you must remember that pleasure and pain are the characteristics of embodied state. In Kavi Kankan's Chandi, it is written that Kaluvir was sent to prison and a heavy stone placed on his chest. Yet Kalu was born as a result of a boon from the Divine Mother of the universe. Thus, pleasure and pain are inevitable when the soul accepts a body. Again, take the case of Sri Manta, who was a great devotee, though his mother Khulna was very much devoted to the Divine Mother. There was no end to his troubles. He was almost beheaded. There is also the instance of the woodcutter who was a great lover of the Divine Mother. She appeared before him and showed him much grace and love, but he had to continue his profession of woodcutting and earn his livelihood by that arduous work. Again, while Devaki, Krishna's mother, was in prison, she had a vision of God Himself, endowed with four hands, holding mace, discus, conch shell, and lotus. But with all that, she could get out of prison. She could not get out of prison. And why speak only of getting out of prison? This body is the source of all troubles. Devaki should have been freed from the body. Law of karma. Master, the truth is that one must reap the result of the prarabdha karma. The body remains as long as the results of past actions do not completely wear away. Once a blind man bathed in the Ganges and as a result was freed from his sins, but his blindness remained all the same. Allah, it was because of his evil deeds in his past birth that he had to undergo that affliction. And yes, sir, the arrow that has already left the bow is beyond our control, Master. However much a bhakta may experience physical joy and sorrow, he always has knowledge and the treasure of divine love. This treasure never leaves him. Take the Pandava brothers for instance. Though they suffered so many calamities, they did not lose their God consciousness even once. Where can you find men like them, endowed with so much knowledge and devotion? Just then Narendra and Colonel Vishwanath Upadhyay entered the room. Narendra was then 22 years old and studying in college. They saluted the master and sat down. The master requested Narendra to sing. The tanpura hung on the west wall of the room. The devotees fixed their eyes on Narendra as he began to tune the drums. Master to Narendra, the drums do not sound as well as before. Captain, they are now full, therefore they are quiet, like a vessel filled with water, or they are like a holy man who remains silent when his heart is full of God consciousness. Master, but what about sages like Narada, Captain? They talked because they were moved by the sufferings of others. Master, you are right. After attaining Samadhi, Narada, Sukadeva, and others came down a few steps, as it were, to the plane of normal consciousness and broke their silence out of compassion for the sufferings of others and to help them. Narendra began to sing. Oh, When will dawn for me that day of the blessedness, when he who is all good, all beauty, and all truth will light the inmost shrine of my heart? When shall I sink at last, ever beholding him into that ocean of delight? No sooner had the master heard a few words of the song than he went into deep samadhi. He sat with folded hands facing the east. His body was erect and his mind completely bereft of worldly consciousness. His breath had almost stopped. With unblinking eyes he sat motionless as a picture on a canvas. His mind had dived deep into the ocean of God's beauty. Narendra left the room and went to the east veranda, where Hazra was seated on a blanket with a rosary in his hand. They fell to talking. Other devotees arrived. The master came down from Samadhi and looked around. He could not find Narendra. The Tanpura was lying on the floor. He noticed that the earnest eyes of the devotees were riveted on him. Master, referring to Narendra, he has lighted the fire. Now it doesn't matter whether he stays in the room or goes out. Joy of God consciousness. To Captain and the other devotees, attribute to yourselves the bliss of God consciousness. Then you too will experience ineffable joy. The bliss of God consciousness always exists in you. It is only hidden by the veiling and projecting power of Maya. The less you are attached to the world, the more you love God. Captain, the further you proceed towards your home in Calcutta, the farther you leave Banaras behind. Again, the farther you proceed towards Banaras, the farther behind you leave your home. Master, as Radha advanced towards Krishna, she could smell more and more of the sweet fragrance of his body. The nearer you approach to God, the more you feel his love. As the river approaches the ocean, it increasingly feels the flow of the tides. Ideals of Jnani and Bhakta. The Jnani experiences God consciousness within himself. It is like the upper Ganges flowing in only one direction. To him, the whole universe is illusory, like a dream. He is always established in the reality of self, but with the love of God, the case is different. His feeling does not flow in only one direction. He feels both the ebb tide and the flood tide of divine emotion. He laughs and weeps and dances and sings in the ecstasy of love. The lover of God likes to sport with him. In the ocean of God consciousness, he sometimes swims, sometimes goes down, and sometimes rises to the surface like pieces of ice in the water laughter. Brahma and Shakti are not different. The Jnani seeks to realize Brahma, but the ideal of the Bhakta is the personal God, a God endowed with omnipotence and with six treasures. Yet Brahma and Shakti are in fact not different. That which is the blissful mother is again existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. They are like the gem and its luster. When one speaks of the luster of the gem, one thinks of the gem, and again when one speaks of the gem, one refers to its luster. One cannot conceive of the
luster of the gem without thinking of the gem, and one cannot conceive of the gem without thinking of its luster. Existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute is one and only one, but it is associated with different limiting adjuncts on account of the different degrees of its manifestation. That is why one finds various forms of God. The devotee sings, O my Divine Mother, thou art all these. Wherever you see actions like creation, preservation, and dissolution, there is the manifestation of Shakti. Water is water, whether it is calm or full of waves and bubbles. The Absolute alone is the primordial energy which creates, preserves, and destroys. Thus, it is the same captain whether he remains inactive or performs his worship or pays a visit to the Governor General. Only we designate him by different names at different times. Captain, yes sir, that is so. Master, I said those words to Keshav Sen. Captain, Keshav is not an orthodox Hindu. He adopts manners and customs according to his own whim. He is well-to-do gentleman and not a holy man. Master, to the other devotees, Captain forbids me to go to see Keshav. Captain, but sir, you act as you will. What can I do? Master, sharply, why should not I go to see Keshav? You feel at ease when you go to Governor General's house and for money at that. Keshav thinks of God and chants his name. Is not it you who are always saying that God Himself has become the universe and all its living beings? Does not God dwell in Keshav alone? With these words, the master left the room abruptly and went to the northeast veranda. Captain and the other devotees remained waiting for his return and accompanied the master to the veranda where Narendra was talking with Hajra. Sri Ramakrishna knew that Hajra always indulged in dry philosophical discussions. Hajra would say the world is unreal like a dream. Worship, food offerings to the deity, and so forth are hallucinations of the mind. The aim of spiritual life is to meditate on one's own real self. Then he would repeat, I am he. But with all that, he had a soft corner in his heart for money, material things, and people's attention. Sri Ramakrishna smiled and said to Hajra and Narendra, Hello, what are you talking about? Narendra smiling, Oh, we are discussing a great many things. They are rather too deep for others. Master with a smile, but pure knowledge and pure love are one and the same thing. Both lead the aspirants to the goal, the path of same goal. The path of love is much the easier. Narendra quoted a song, O mother, make me mad with thy love. What need have I of knowledge or reason? Narendra said to Anne that he had been reading a book by Hamilton who wrote, A learned ignorance is the end of philosophy and the beginning of religion. Master to Anne, what does that mean? Narendra explained the sentence in Bengali. The master beamed with joy and said in English, Thank you, thank you. Everyone laughed at the charming way he said these words. They knew that his English vocabulary consisting of only half a dozen words. It was almost dusk when most of the devotees, including Narendra, took leave of the master. Sri Ramakrishna went out and looked at the Ganges for a few minutes from the west porch. Two priests were bathing in preparation for the evening worship. Young men of the village were strolling in the garden or standing on the concrete embankment, gazing at the murmuring river. Others, perhaps more thoughtful, were walking about in the solitude of the Panchavati. It became dark. The maid-servant lighted the lamp in Sri Ramakrishna's room and burnt incense. The evening worship began in the 12 temples of Shiva and in the shrine of Krishna and Kali. As it was the first day after the full moon, the moonlight soon flooded the tops of the trees and temples and touched with silver the numberless waves of the sacred river. The master returned to his room. After bowing to the Divine Mother, he clapped his hands and chanted the sweet names of God. A number of holy pictures hung on the walls of the room. Among others, there were pictures of Dhruva, Prahlada, Kali, Radha Krishna, and the coronation of Rama. The master bowed low before the pictures and repeated the holy names. Then he repeated the holy words Brahma, Atma, Bhagwan, Bhagavata, Bhagata, Bhagwan, Brahma, Shakti, Brahma, Veda, Purana, Tantra, Gita, Gayatri. Then he said, I have taken refuge at thy feet, O Divine Mother. Not I, but thou. I am the machine and thou art the operator, and so on. Master extolled Narendra. While the master was meditating in this fashion on the Divine Mother, a few devotees coming in from the garden gathered in his room. Sri Ramakrishna sat down on the small couch. He said to the devotees, Narendra, Bhavanath, Rakhal, and devotees like them belong to the group of the Nitya Siddhas. They are eternally free. Religious practice on their part is superfluous. Look at Narendra, he doesn't care about anyone. One day he was going with me in captain's carriage. Captain wanted him to take a good seat, but Narendra did not even look at him. He is independent even of me. He doesn't tell me all he knows, lest I should praise his scholarship before others. He is free from ignorance and delusion. He has no bonds. He is a great soul. He has many good qualities. He is expert in music both as a singer and a player, and is also a versatile scholar. Again, he keeps his passions under control and says that he will never marry. There is a close friendship between Narendra and Bhavanath. They are just like man and woman. Narendra doesn't come here very often. That is good, for I am overwhelmed by his presence. Monday, August 20, 1883. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting on his bed inside the mosquito net, meditating. It was about 8 o'clock in the evening. M was sitting on the floor with his friend Hari Babu. Hari, a young man of 28, had lost his wife about 11 years before and had not married a second time. He was much devoted to his parents, brothers, and sisters. Hajra was living at Dakshineshwar. Rakha lived with the master. Though now and then he stayed at Adhar's house, Narendra, Bhavnath, Adhar, M. Ram, Manomohan, and other devotees visited the master almost every week. Hriday Sri Ramakrishna's nephew was ill in his home in the country. The master was worried about him. One of the devotees had sent him a little money, but the master did not know it. When Sri Ramakrishna came out of the mosquito net and sat on the small couch, the devotees saluted him. Master to M. I was meditating inside the net. It occurred to me that meditation, after all, was nothing but the imagining of a form, and so I did not enjoy it. One gets satisfaction if God reveals Himself in a flesh. Again I said to myself, who is it that meditates and on whom does he meditate? And yes, sir, you said that God Himself has become everything in the universe and all living beings. Even he who meditates is God. Master, what is more, one cannot meditate unless God wills it. One can meditate when God makes it possible for one to do so. What do you say? And true, sir, you feel like that because there is no I in you. When there is no ego, one feels like that. Master, but it is good to have a trace of ego, which makes it possible for a man to feel that he is the servant of God. As long as a man thinks that it is he who is doing his duty, it is very good for him to feel that God is the master and the God's servant. When one conscious of doing work, one should establish with God the relationship of servant and master. M was always reflecting on the nature of the Supreme Brahma. Nature of Brahma. Master to M, like the Akasa, Brahma is without any modification. It has become manifold because of Shakti. Again, Brahma is like fire, which itself has no color. The fire appears white if you throw a white substance into it, red if you throw a red, black if you throw a black. The three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, belong to Shakti alone. Brahma itself is beyond the three gunas. What Brahma is cannot be described, it is beyond words. That which remains after everything is eliminated by the Vedantic process of not this, and which is of the nature of bliss is Brahma. Suppose the husband of a young girl has come to his father-in-law's house and is seated in the drawing room with other young men of his age. The girl and her friends are looking at them through the window. Her friends do not know her husband and ask her, pointing to one young man, is that your husband? No, she answers smiling. They point to another young man and ask if he is her husband. Again she answers no. They repeat the question, referring to a third, and she gives the same answer. At last they point to her husband and ask, is he the one? She says neither yes nor no, but only smiles and keeps quiet. Her friends realize that he is her husband. One becomes silent on realizing the true nature of Brahma. To M, well, why do I talk so much? M, you talk in order to awaken the spiritual consciousness of the devotees. You once said that when an uncooked luchi is dropped into boiling ghee, it makes a sizzling noise. The master began to talk to M about Hajra.
Master, do you know the nature of good man? He never troubles others. He doesn't harass people. The nature of some people is such that when they go to a feast they want special seats. A man who has true devotion to God never makes a false step, never gives others trouble for nothing. It is not good to live in the company of bad people. A man should stay away from them and thus protect himself to M. Is not that so? M. Yes, sir. The mind sinks down in the company of the wicked, but it is quite different with a hero. As you say, Master, how is that? And when a fire is feeble, it goes out when even a small stick is thrown into it. But a blazing fire is not affected even if a plantain tree is thrown into it. The tree itself is burnt to ashes. The master asked M about his friend Hari Babu. M. He has come here to pay you his respect. He lost his wife long ago. Master, to hurry. What kind of work do you do? And nothing in particular, but at home he takes good care of his parents and his brothers and sisters. Master, with a smile, how is that? You are like Elder the pumpkin cutter. You are neither a man of the world nor a devotee of God. That is not good. You must have seen the sort of elderly man who lives in a family and is always ready day or night to entertain the children. He sits in the parlor and smokes the hubble bubble with nothing in particular to do. He leads a lazy life. Now and again he goes to inner court and cuts a pumpkin. For since women do not cut pumpkin, they send the children to ask him to come and do it. That is the extent of his usefulness. Hence his nickname Elder the Pumpkin Cutter. You must do this as well as that. Do you do you do your duties in the world and also fix your mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. Read books of devotion like the Bhagavata or the life of Chaitanya when you are alone head and have nothing to do. It was about 10 o'clock. Sri Ramakrishna finished a light supper of farina pudding and one or two luchis. After saluting him, and his friend took their leave. Friday, September 7, 1883. Sri Ramakrishna and M were talking in the master's room at 7:30 in the evening. No one else was present. Master, the other day I went to Calcutta. As I drove along the streets in the carriage, I observed that everyone's attention was fixed on low things. Everyone was brooding over his stomach and running after nothing but food. Everyone's mind was turned to woman and gold. I saw only one or two with their attention fixed on higher things, with their mind turned to God. And the present age has aggravated this stomach worry. Trying to imitate the English, people have turned their attention to more luxuries, therefore, their wants have also increased. Master, what do the English think about God? And they believe in a formless God. Master, that is also one of our beliefs. So I conclude this video at this point. Next video number 14 will start with Master's deep spiritual experiences. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, comment and share the video and subscribe the channel. Thank you. Namaskar, my dear friends. Namaste.